Hello, guys. This is Alan, and it's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon in Adelaide, South Australia. And I got the opportunity to go through some of the verses from the book of Matthew. So let's go ahead and I'll try my best to articulate it for you. So let's go. And Jesus said to him, "Follow me and leave the dead to bury their own dead." Matthew chapter 8, verse 22. So here the word dead is repeated two times. It says, "Leave the dead to bury their own dead." What does this mean? So, just provide you with some context, Jesus was recruiting disciples on his way. So, one of the disciples, he was burying one of his family members, and disciples said to Jesus, he said, "Jesus, let me bury my dead relative, and then I'll come follow you." So that's when Jesus said, "Let the dead bury their own dead." Okay, so I had to do some research about it because what does it mean, right? So here the word dead means all the things that distract you from following your path to your destiny. You know, when we are trying to do something good, when we are trying something really difficult, when we are trying to achieve success, let's say, or when we are trying to achieve all our goals, along the way people get involved in menial tasks, in useless relationships which don't go anywhere, and to, let's say, there are short term desires that possess everyone's mind when they're trying to do very difficult things that would give them a much greater joy, right? So these things which distract us from our path to achieve greatness should be considered dead, and we should not stop, and we should just keep marching forward, because if we don't do this, these things are like demons. These short-term desires, these are like demons. They possess our mind, and it's easy to get distracted. It's so simple to understand, because it's easy to do something bad than good, right? It's easy to go downhill than to go uphill. It's all around us, only if we could see. So okay, so what happens if we give into these distractions? There is a force in us that is driving us. It is the life force, or you call it the Holy Spirit, or is it the conscious? If you go against what your destiny is calling you to be, what happens is, what that results in is one's spiritual death, or probably even physical death if things get too out of hand. So it's better to stay on the path and let the dead bury their own dead. So let's go ahead on to the next verse. "It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign those of this household?" Matthew chapter 10, verse 26. So here Beelzebul is a demon, right? So this verse articulates, or is trying to say, that you should try and aim to be like your master, whoever your master is. And we assume that it is something that is much greater than you and is all good, right? Because that's what human beings do. They don't, well, as far as I've seen people, they don't aim at becoming evil. Well, something happens and they just go down that hill, which is not beneficial to anyone, not to themselves at least. So we should be very careful of who we call the master of the house are, because the master of the house, let's say, your own guiding principles. So you are a house, there are parts of you, there are good parts and there are not so good parts. So who is the master of your house determines what kind of person you are. Now, what do you mean by master? By the term master, I mean your values and principles. And these things are tested, right? Because when you move through life, you meet a lot of people and you confront a lot of situations where your values and principles really come into play, and then you realize things about yourself that you probably didn't want to realize. So you really know what kind of person you are, and at that point, if you take stock of yourself, you can actually correct yourself. But then that takes a lot of will, but it is of the highest benefit to anyone that is around you and to you. It's painful, but might as well do it. So it better be good, because what you do will not be hidden. People think that they can get away with anything, but there's always a bigger fish, right? Okay, you get away doing something bad to one person, then you move on to the next and to the next and to the next, and then you finally meet a bigger fish who's much bigger than you, and they take you down. Jesus also says that this in Matthew chapter 10, verse 26. He says, "So have no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known." In simple terms, Jesus says that no one gets away with anything. That's a terrifying realization. So, what we can do is each day we can put in tremendous effort to do good overall, as flawed as we are. On to the next verse. Do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. Okay, so in our life, there are situations where you really have to stand your ground. Now, I'm not saying that you have to tell off everyone who doesn't agree with you. No, it's not like that. And it's not going to work anyways, because how many people? Because there are quite a few people, there are millions of people who might not agree with you. So, but there are situations where you really need to stand your ground. For example, you know, one of my supervisors said that I did something, but I said, I don't think so. I don't remember it, to be very honest. I don't remember it if I did that, but let us work together and see what is the solution. So in this example, I didn't really apologize, but I took it to the next step, that is to the solution. Okay, this is where we are. I don't know if I did it or not, but we can work together to make it better. It's not like I was afraid or I wanted to lie. I did not remember if I performed that certain action that we are talking about. So at that point, what you really, things like this happen. So you really have to stand your ground, and you have to come up with other ways where you are not crushed into the corner, but you can really say, you know what, okay, this is what the situation is right now. I'm going to try and not make it worse, at least not for myself or for the people who I'm involved with. But let's put our hands together and let's churn out a solution. And if the other person that you're talking to is not extremely resentful and is not a power mad tyrant, they'd say yes. But do not let anyone crush you into a corner, because that doesn't work out well, because there's only so much that you can take. And the consequence of that would be resentfulness, that you feel at the bottom of the dominance hierarchy, and in a long enough time period, all that bad feelings, it just pents up in you, and you just burst out on some random person that you probably are not really closely related with. So you don't want that. So just stand your ground and speak up, and let the soul be fulfilled, and not fulfilled with good things and not with resentfulness. So let's go on to the next verse. And the person's enemies will be those of his own household. Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. So here the term household encompasses all the people in one's life. It might be your friends, your family, and the people that you are closely related with. So, a lot of people, it is a huge realization for people to realize that even the people that they thought very close to them and who loved them very deeply can get jealous of them. And it's a very huge realization. But when once you realize that, it burns off all the naivety that you had in your heart. A lot of people are not really aware that they can be jealous of their very close friend or family member. But it's a huge realization when you do realize that. And so, what do you do in that situation? Look, you can't make everyone happy. What you can do is aim at the highest good, and they'll still be watching you. Just because they are jealous of you doesn't mean that you're going to give up your higher purpose, because that doesn't benefit anyone, not to you, and not to the people who are jealous of you, and that doesn't even work out to the people that you love. So it is better to just keep moving forward and only share good news with those people who you know would genuinely be happy for you. And you can find it out, right? Because a lot of people are just biased against those people who they love. They think that, probably that was a fluke. We just let these little signs slip away even though we notice them. So it's better to be really, really aware, to watch people very closely when you tell them good news and bad news, how their reactions are, how they respond to your shortcomings, how do they respond to when something good, how do they respond to you when something good happens to you. So, and if it's a family member, well, you cannot just sever all connections with them. What you can do is just let them know as much as they need to know. So that is on your good judgment, but not too much. We don't want to add fuel to the fire. We want to keep it very, very reserved. And a lot of people, and pray that once you make it, they'll help you celebrate. That's the best way that I've been able to come up with, and I don't see any alternative. So, and whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Matthew chapter 10 verse 38. So Jesus says this to everyone, right? So basically Jesus Christ is everything that a human being can aim to be. All good and well developed. So if Jesus Christ is everything that a person can aim to be, you have to follow Jesus, right? So you have to follow the highest good. So Jesus is the highest good. But when you're following Jesus, like Jesus carried the cross, so like that you have to carry your cross too. Now, what does cross mean? Cross in today's terms means your pain and burdens that you carry along with you when you are trying to move towards the kingdom of God, and that's uphill. So the so Jesus Christ clearly mentions that no matter how painful or what the size of your burdens are, even if it's absolutely ridiculously big, what you do is that you carry your burdens and your pain, your your soul wrenching pain, and you move towards the city of God that is uphill. You follow Christ with your pain and your burdens. This is one true rule of the game, and this is how the universe is set up, right? So it is absolutely amazing when we go to watch a movie where the hero is subjected to all the pains that one can imagine to be subjected to. The hero does not get resentful for too long, but rises up from the ashes and conquers the evil that was affecting him. right? And that garners respect and so much engagement from the audience who's watching the movie. So what we can do is to become such an example, to probably, the pain can be so bad that people who look at you, who are watching you, say, there are good enough reasons for you to turn evil. But if at that moment, if you take stock of yourself and if you don't get resentful and if you just put yourself together, if you find that silver thread and hold on to it for your dear life, the rewards on the other end are plenty. Because the alternative is to just get resentful and die and probably take other people along with you. That's not a good solution at all. So it's better to carry your cross and move towards achieving a Christ like life where everything is good and not get resentful and rise up from the ashes, which would absolutely gain you respect, immense respect from the people who you know and from the people who you do not know. Thank you for the opportunity again, guys. I look forward to the next video. I wish you guys all the best.